you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they want to do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shit.
How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. I love, my guest today is going to be William Young, but I love how people smile and they're not on camera. You know, not yet. Yeah, he's smiling right now and he's not on the camera just yet. But we're going to have a good discussion. I've been going through my emails and I've been getting a lot of emails on basically how to become a voice using social media. So first off, thank you for believing I am that voice. I take that very humbling, obviously. What I wanted to do was I wanted to bring William Young on as well, because William Young is also starting out on this journey. He has a podcast as well as I know we have a YouTube channel, but then we have a Facebook page. The show is called the Saturday Night Synopsis, right? He'll break it into it a little bit more, but I'm going to try to give you some hints as to what you need to do, how you maintain growth, and basically, if you want to stand out in this profession and you want to have that voice, you know, I think this is what helped me along the way. Now, mind you, I'm also going to give you some tips that I should follow that I don't, unfortunately. But I still want to give out those tips because I know those tips are correct. But, let's see. Hey, Will, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. There's clouds in the sky, like a gray, hazy overcast. So it fits my mood this morning very well. So thanks for calling me. I was going to sit in my room and sulk all day. I'm trying to finish my book, but this will give me something to look forward to. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and this is actually a good thing. By the way, your book, Connie got a chance to read it, loves it, and I also got a chance to read the first few chapters, and I was humbled enough to be offered the chance to do a forward for it. So I definitely, guys, if you get a chance when it comes out, he'll make the announcement. You definitely is going to have to be a book that you should have. Even if you're an academy instructor, whatever it is, this should be required reading for all the cadets. But by the way, I do know his first book very well, When Home Becomes a Housing Unit, which is on the market right now. You can get that through Amazon. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our sponsor, and we're going to go back. When we come back, we're going to talk about our journey through social media. We're going to give out some tips. And if you guys are looking to create your own channel or create a voice, these are some of the things that we followed that seem to work for us. And again, it's for us. We're only giving you the tips that we utilized. And don't get me wrong, if you guys have any other tips, put it in the comments below, because we're always looking to learn. Because don't forget, we were correctional officers first, and then we decided to do this. So there's a lot we don't know. We just fake the funk. So, guys, if you haven't, the show Terror Talks to you, brave men and women that work in corrections. So please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. We're going to go to our sponsor. When we come back, we'll talk about being that voice through social media. Stand by.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it. It's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Guys, Inmate Manipulation is a course that is highly needed. It's the process that's so slow moving and subtle that you don't realize it's happening. When inmates choose to manipulate, they manipulate our need to react. Situational awareness and insight is going to save your career. It's going to save you from doing foolish things. Listen to your gut. So the more insight we have, the more we can recognize what isn't so overt, and we can correct our behavior before we fall into a trap that we can't get out of. If you allow an inmate to pull you out of your prescribed role, you are opening up a door for a host of problems. Inmate Manipulation, the psychology behind inmate manipulation. Available now. Link in description. All right, and we are back. So, Will, let's start off. You're on the newer side, right? I know me and you've had some dialogue, but I do see some growth. I believe your Facebook page is broken over 940. Your YouTube channel is kind of still within that 300 number range. But the cool thing is you're being consistent, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So let's talk about some of the hiccups that you faced along the way, because you're new, and maybe that can introduce where I'm at, but also why you felt the need to do this, because I want to make sure that people are doing it for the right reasons, because the last thing you want, guys, is for your passion to become a job. This is what you're doing to have fun. And the moment you see this as work, you're going to burn out. So, hey, let's discuss what you got so far. This is all about you, Will. Promotion time for Will. And by the way, Will is very humbling. So this is actually a good chance for Will to be forced to speak about himself. So go ahead, Will, what do we got?
Well, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate you having me a part of this discussion. I came to this, I wanted to do this journey because I felt like there's information out there that needs to be delivered. I saw what you were doing. I saw the people that you were reaching, and I wanted to kind of get the message that I have, that mental health, that emotional survival niche kind of out there. And so I saw an opportunity to jump on your coattails, and that's what I did. So I with the book, I wanted to promote the book. But the main thing was as this information comes out and as people start talking about the mental health aspect and just corrections in general, there's just not a lot of information out there. And so I wanted to give officers another venue, another avenue to explore and to learn about the profession. And so I watched this. I dive in. I said, I want to try to do something on YouTube. And I watched this guy that was he has a YouTube channel about growing things, and he said something at the very beginning. He kind of tricked me, Anthony. He said at the very beginning, I want you to write down what your purpose for doing a YouTube channel is. And I'm like, all right, I want to sell books. That's what I want to do. I want people to see my videos, and I want to sell books. And then about 45 minutes into this video, he really kind of gets into the meat and potatoes of why he actually has a YouTube channel. It has nothing to do with product or anything else. He starts talking about his family and his faith and all of this stuff. And I grabbed my pen and I scratched out selling books. And because that's not really why I wanted to do it. And so I had to look, and I said, why do you want to do this? And it's to reach that one officer. And he said something in that video, Anthony, that really it's become kind of like a slogan for me. And he says, there's going to be people out there that are talking about what you're talking about. There's going to be multiple, correctional channels or cooking channels or whatever you're doing. He said, focus on being one of the voices in the movement. Don't try to be the movement. Try to be one of the voices in the movement. And I thought, you know what? That's great, because then when you're not worried about your own popularity, your own success, because I'll tell you, when you get started, nobody cares, and you're going to get comments. There was a comment on a video I posted the other day. I posted, why do normal people piss me off? And a guy left a comment and said, hey, this guy making this video pisses me off. And it's like, oh man, come on. But when you're focused on your true mission, when you're focused on your purpose for doing it, then none of that stuff matters, and you just keep going. And the other thing that the guy said was, don't be afraid to start. It doesn't matter what equipment you got. It doesn't matter any of that. You're never going to be truly ready to get going. So just turn on the computer, turn on your smartphone, turn on the mic, and just get going. And so that's what I did. I had a bunch of, Anthony probably didn't think I was going to ramble this much, but I had a bunch of speaking engagements lined up for 2020. And I was super excited about it, but then coronavirus hit and all of those got canceled. And so I was sitting in my office and I'm thinking, I was throwing a pity party for myself, really. And I'm like, man, this is like, what are we going to do here? And so I turned on Facebook, I clicked live, and I just started talking. And I did that. And I said, you know what, I kind of like that. And some people got on. And so I did it another week. And then I contacted Anthony and I said, hey, I think I want to do a show. Will you come on the show and be a guest? And so I had him on the show as a guest, and then it kind of just evolved into this, and now it's a weekly live podcast. And I have different guests on. But the main thing was, if I would have worried about, am I really ready, or really thought about kind of what we're doing and putting yourself out there, I probably would have never got started. But you just have to start, right?
Yeah, I watch a guy named Sean Cannon. I don't know if that's the same gentleman you're talking about, Think Media. And basically what he says is, don't wait to be perfect to start and become perfect, or don't wait to be ready to start and become ready, whatever it is. And he does mention identify your passion, and that seems to carry over into everything that I've done so far, whether it's the YouTube channel, whether it's the Facebook group pages. I mean, I'm an admin to a lot of those pages, because one is, there is the one I have on my own, which is the corrections one. But when you become a voice, or people see you as a voice, they invite you into being their admin. And basically, it's actually an honor, because that means they like your material and they give you a chance to post your material up as the groups grow. One of the groups I'm an admin is Correctional Officer Lives Matter, Thin Silver Line. I mean, these are groups that are 18,000 strong, 10,000 strong. My page alone is 34,000 strong, you know, and then you have the YouTube channel. It's probably going to push 14,000 very soon. We're going to be breaking 13,800. Now, the thing is, the passion for me was really about recognizing the correctional officers first, because when I first started, my view was very myopic. And then it kind of evolved into it's a profession thing. The profession itself is belittled, because as I moved up into the administrative level, I saw the same problems with the program side of things. I'm thinking, wow, you know what? If we all could combine and make one voice, we would have a hell of a screen. But unfortunately, there's still that battle. But I started to realize, you know what? In the process, I could try to bring people together, you know, which I still do. You know, I try to get both people to understand perspective. So to try to get the officers to understand the civilian perspective, the civilians to understand the officer's perspective. And I think I've done very well with that for the most part, because believe it or not, the audience, the community that we developed is a very professional community. So they want to know, you know, they want to know, because I don't think we want to walk around divided all the time. The only people that benefit from that are the inmates when we're divided. So part of it was recognizing the profession. And then part of it was to give an understanding to the outside. Let the outside know this is what it is. So first we have to see, you know, what it is about ourselves that we have to work on. So recognize the work we do ourselves, and then go ahead and let the public see that the work we do is honorable. It's great work. And, you know, the lies that are out there have just done nothing but bastardize. So the channel was actually going to be a conflict to the lies. You know, you want to say a lie, I'm going to quickly go up. And that's been my passion for over 5 or 6 years. Now, when I first started, man, I wanted that viral video. I wanted something that would take off, but I'm glad it didn't, because I wasn't ready if it did. You know, if the channel did take off, I still had to develop what I wanted to do. So if it would have went viral, it would have been viral for the wrong reasons, and my message would have probably had to stay with whatever reason it would have went viral for. Because you have to realize that when you create something, especially a YouTube channel or eventually a group, it's usually a very small niche. You want to go as small as you can to develop some type of authority. So for me, I started with Inmate Manipulation, and that actually earned some authority in the algorithm, where I became searchable through YouTube, through Google. Like, you put Inmate Manipulation, my name's all over that, and that's a good search for this profession. So a lot of the traffic I get, a lot of the people that you know, tune into my channel, because it really is organic growth. For the ones that discover it, it's usually because they're looking up something with correctional training, whether it's inmate manipulation, the correctional interview process. But it did all start with the inmate manipulation side. And I've also been lucky, because when I started doing this, I looked at, remember, now social media is ultimately going to be secondary compared to whatever else you're trying to do. I want you to know that social media supports it. So if I have something I'm trying to promote, like I do a lot of speaking as well. You know, I mean, I had Colorado, I had Nebraska this year, I had Maine, I had Texas, all gone. I mean, you know, you were part of some of those. So what you do is you connect to these groups, but you want to make sure that you're involved with these groups, and you're not just posting material up. You know, it's like you want to be interactive with these groups. So when you're on Facebook, you know, and you see these groups, like, okay, I'm planning on doing something. Well, before you start posting stuff into those groups, be active. You know, be an active member into those groups. You know, communicate. Correctional Officer Brotherhood, Keepers of Chaos. You know, these are Thin Silver Line that I mentioned. These are groups that have a great community. Correctional Officer Nursing that I'm a part of now. These have a very good community that's very supportive, but they want to see that you're active, you know, before you start dropping stuff down, because that's a big difference. If I'm active, I'm giving something to the community, and in return, they're going to want to embrace, you know, what I have. But if I'm just dropping stuff off and taking off, that's actually disrespectful. That's like me coming into someone's house, taking a shit, and then leaving. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what it looks like. You know, what you want to do is you want to be active. So the first thing I would do, my advice is that, you know, if you're planning on doing something and you're planning on becoming that voice, you need to be recognized. You know, you need to have people that, you know, trust in you, because you do want to have some initial traffic. So the first thing I would do is sign on to those social media groups and interact with them. Don't just drop your stuff. As I said, interact, be a part of that community and have value. I mean, when you go to comment back on someone's questions, because these communities, they have great questions that you can interact with, have a comment that has value, that place that someone says, wow, man, what William Young said, that was great. Let me find out a little bit more about him. And what they do is they click and they'll see what you have. Oh shit, he has a Facebook page. He has a YouTube channel. But prior to all that, you still need to develop that rapport with the people that says, hey, William Young is that guy. I mean, what's your thought about the interactions with the community for you as you just starting up? How important is that?
No, you're 100% right. You have to participate in the community. You can't just drop in your videos and or comment, hey, check out my Facebook page at whatever. Because especially in this environment, correctional officers are no different on social media than they are when you work with them, right? It's you can put a comment out there and people will shred you, because some of us are jerks, and some of us, even when someone will put a comment on, hey, I dealt with this situation, it was kind of tough, and you'll see 200 comments and 150 of them will just quit, just leave, you know. So it's a tough group, but you have to participate. They have to get to know you, and then they will learn to trust you. Here's the thing: I won't ever do a video about tactical handcuffing or searching an inmate, because although I think those things are really important, I don't care about them. I don't. That's not my passion. There's people like Russ Hamilton out there. There's other people that are doing great videos about that, but I'm gonna let them do that. That's where, when you listen to Russ, and I'm gonna talk about Russ like he's not here. You know, when you listen to Russ talk about searching an inmate, you can see his passion. You can see it in his eyes. You can see that he loved finding that stuff, and that's awesome. And I want you to get that information from him. That passion won't come through if I try to talk to you about it. So when I comment on something, when I talk about something, when I reach out to somebody, it's going to be about what I'm passionate about. So when Anthony's talking about going through, participating in the conversation, leaving comments, you also got to be careful not to just leave comments just to leave comments, right? You might as well just be put, hey, just check out my channel, or hey, subscribe, because we'll see into that, right? We can read what you're saying, and we're going to be like, we're just going to scroll past that. So put some thought into it. If you're passionate about it, if you have some value, and that's something that, and Sean Candle's the guy that you talked about, and he talks about all the time. If you have some value and you want to add value to that conversation, then that's great. And then organically, people will then filter to your page. But this is not especially if you're going to do something corrections related, this is not something that overnight you're gonna explode. I mean, if you go over and you look at cooking channels, or even like the prison channels, they're huge, millions of followers. And we talked about this too, Anthony. We had a conversation. We're like, look, if we would make a video about the top 10 worst inmates, or make a video entitled it, we hate inmates or something like that, then it would go viral. People would, but that's not the message that we're sending. And that's not the way we want our profession to be betrayed or portrayed. And it would be betrayed. But so you have to understand that getting into this, it's not going to be very, very fast. But yeah, so I got off topic a little bit, but yeah, you have to add value to the conversation. People have to know who you are before they're going to listen to you.
Yeah, but you hit home on a couple of things when you kind of went off. I've been slammed by the prison channels multiple times. I mean, I got slammed by one in particular that had over 200,000 followers, and I was up for days trying to control the comments and ban the people that were outright aggressive, like "fuck you pigs" and all this other stuff, threatening my families, all because I saw a video where he was telling people how to manipulate protective custody, which, of course, I said, let me challenge that. But I did learn something in the long run. because I was new to this too. I wanted to collab with some of those bigger channels, but then I started realizing, look at the audience I would have gotten. You know, sometimes going for the numbers, it doesn't have the quality that you want. And I was guilty of that. I did. I mean, there was a time where I wanted to network. I wanted to kind of get on that because I wasn't going to find viral videos in what we do because it's such a small niche. But I will say one thing, and I believe we're on the same page on this. So the YouTube channel is also about growth, right? So when I started, there was a niche. It was about manipulation. But as I started to get authority and my audience started to to grow, they start giving me suggestions. And then I wind up figuring, okay, what am I comfortable with? Or what do I have to farm out? You know, but I gave what my audience wanted because that was the key to the growth I had. Granted, it's still within that niche. Like I very rarely ever venture off. I'm not saying I haven't, because I have, and I see it reflecting the views when I do. But with that said, for the most part, I actually saw that, okay, the audience wants this. This is what they want. It still relates to what I want to do. So this is when now it's no longer a vlog. I'm going to start interviewing people and then give them what they want. And that's where I go to those Facebook groups. Hey, Russ is also a guy. That's how I met him, through Correctional Officer Brotherhood. He's so well written. Yeah, he's a great writer. And I said, let me bring this guy on. And I've been with him ever since, because I felt that there were certain areas that's his expertise. And what's good about having generalized knowledge like myself, I'm really very general. But with that said, there are certain things that, I do have some specific knowledge with, obviously. My inmate manipulation, that's my big thing. But also, management and stuff like that. The stuff you learn passively. But also, after doing 700 and something videos on YouTube, you actually do learn a lot. You don't realize it until someone asks you a question. I'm sitting there just, like, I can't believe, but those aren't my thoughts. Those are the thoughts of, the years of doing this show that has come out, that you can't help but learn, passively. And with Russ, we're able to have a healthy dialogue now where we kind of challenge each other. And that just becomes this constructive dialogue that just grows each and every time, not just during the episode, but every episode. But one of the things I also want to mention that you touched on briefly is that don't compare yourself to other channels that, have less time than you and have reached 100,000s in numbers. I used to do that too. And by the way, the stuff I'm telling you not to do is because I did it. I'm not being hypocritical, but it's true. I chased it. It was about the numbers at one point, and it's really not about the numbers. It's the quality of the audience. And when you sit there and compare yourself to another channel that has over 100,000, now you start to become frustrated, but that's because of you. What you need to do is compare your growth. I mean, think about this. A couple of years ago, I had zero. 3 or 4 years later, I'm pushing over 14,000. I get a few thousand every year. And you got to realize something. This is a niche we're in. We're in a very secure niche. Our videos are used for training all across the country. I have college professors just recently the other day asking, hey, Gange, can I use your video on Lost First Game? Not a problem. So these are word for mouth. And the funny thing is the cool thing about word for mouth growth is, to me, it lasts a lot longer than viral growth. Because when there's a viral growth, and I'll tell you the difference here because I learned this too, is that people see a video that you do because, okay, I want this video to go viral, and I know the hot topic is politics. So I'm going to do one video on politics. And all of a sudden, people watch that video, they like it, they click, but then eventually they take time to look at your channel, because most people may subscribe and then go back to check out your channel later, and they realize this channel has nothing to do with politics. It's a corrections channel. So all of a sudden, your numbers grow, and then your numbers start to lose, and YouTube's sitting there like, man, he must have messed up. So we're going to stop promoting his channel briefly because they see that there's a hit. And YouTube really does look at that. Everything's based on that algorithm. That's why I always tell people that if you like the material, and I think William would agree on this, it's very important that you engage. You have no idea how important that is for a YouTube creator, that you either hit a like or you comment or you do something, because YouTube takes that as input to promote you into that algorithm. That engagement is so important. That sharing is so important. If you have different venues, if you like what you get, come on, guys, go beyond just a comment, share it onto your platform, bring people in, because the people that you're bringing in are going to be like-minded people, people that will stay with this channel and will also be engaged. That's another reason. When you have the viral videos, it doesn't mean they're going to be engaged. So sometimes having that small niche and having quality subscribers, they're engaged, they're commenting, they're liking, and it gets you sustainable growth. The funny thing is and I think you're going to start seeing this too, Will, is that what I realize, it's not so much about instant growth. It's not. It's really about maintaining your channel. That's the hard part, because I want people to come back and revisit. I don't want people to drive by and, I'll subscribe and come back and I lose them. No, I need to make sure that I'm ready. So when they come by, there's other stuff there. So if I'm out to please everyone, I get nowhere. But if I know that this is my audience, then I have a better shot to say, okay, well, this person came in because they like this topic that I did about, correctional management. Oh, look, they're watching all my videos. Wow. That matters to YouTube. That matters also to me as a creator because I'm giving back something, but that really does start with me listening to the audience. So I'm going to feed off on what William said, and maybe we can comment a little more on this, is that it really does start with what you feel you're comfortable with, and then the audience helps you grow, but you just have to be able to set the parameters of that growth. Like you said, okay, well, this is what I'm comfortable doing. This is what I'm not comfortable doing, but ultimately, is it within the realm of corrections? Can I do that or whatever? But I like how you said, the role, what it is that you're going to play. And then even if someone does recommend that and it's not something you're comfortable with, what did you say? I'll send them over to Russ. Hey, you know what? I like what you said, but that may not be in my wheelhouse. Go check out the Tier Talk channel. Like when they have mental health concerns, I may say, you know what? I've done a few videos with William Young, but be advised, William Young also has a show. This is his niche. And the reason why I'm comfortable doing that is because you stay within that niche. I could forward them over to you, and then all of a sudden you're doing shows on, different topics. They're like, hey, Gangi, this guy, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. But Will's in this controlled niche. So I can actually say, hey, Will, this helps me as a creator, also helps you. Hey, you know what? Will's been on my show. This is what he does. Go check out Will's channel. But I'm sure right now that niche for you, even though you go out a little bit, is extremely important because you're identifying your brand, correct? Where you want to be.
Right. Yeah. I looked at what you got to do is if you're going to create content, first of all, you have to, anything you create, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, I learned a long time ago that if you're not creating a product or a piece that you're proud of, then I don't even know why you're doing it. I mean, you can tell when a musician sings somebody else's song, that passion isn't there, right? So the number one thing, what I did when I wrote my book is I said, I want to have a book on the shelf that I can look at, I can be proud of and say, you know what, I wrote that book. And when I put out a video on YouTube, I make a video that makes me laugh, that I'm like, you know what, I did that the only way that William Young would do it. I mean, I look at like the guys on YouTube guys and gals that I like to listen to, the personality, whatever. I mean, there was some guy the other day that commented on one of my videos that said I sound like Dr. Seuss or William Shatner or something. And it's like, you know what? That's good. They're stopping. They're commenting, even if they're having a little fun. But that's the way that I want to do it. So, and you're right, Anthony. I get messages, I get emails of people say, hey, can you do an interview or can you do a show on, I don't know, somebody did like how to prepare for an interview. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then it's not really my thing, but I try to do it in my way and give them a different, like I saw a video on what to expect on your first day as a corrections officer. And you've done several videos on stuff like this. And I wanted, I'm like, you know what, this is what all these people are saying, but I'm going to try to play on the psychological aspect of it. I'm going to stay kind of what I would tell them, focused on my niche and give them that kind of thing. So if you ever see a video from me on tactical handcuffing, it's going to be about, the emotional and mental strain of putting those restraints on or something like that. It's going to be something stupid, So but you're right. Deliver it the best way that you can. There's a lot of videos out there on corrections. And the problem with corrections and the information that's out there is it's like watching I watched the and I'm not talking politics here, but I watched the Republican National Convention a few years ago, and they had like every speaker was like very dry, very mundane, and they were 200 years old. And although there was good information in there somewhere, it just wasn't. I just didn't care because of the way it was packaged. So if you watch it, if you go on after you're done watching this video, of course, and you subscribe to Anthony and me, then you go on YouTube and you search corrections, and you're going to see a lot of poorly produced, poorly presented information. And the problem is it's great information and it really needs to get out there. But if you go to a YouTube video and the guy's like, today I'm going to talk to you about how you're going to click off of it. You're going to click off of it, right? That's why your presentation, it doesn't matter what you're selling or what your message is really, but if you're presenting it in a manner that people want to watch it, people want to listen to it, then they're going to stick with you. Same with if you do an audio podcast. If you're doing just an audio podcast, you have probably, I don't know, what they say, Anthony, 10, 15 seconds, something like that, to lock in that. And it's same with YouTube. You just have a very small window to lock in that audience. Otherwise, they're going to go. They have nothing to go off of but your voice, your inflection, your tone. And if you're not doing it, then they're not going to stay. So think of what you're passionate about. Think about your message, and then think about how you're going to deliver that. And is it going to be something that, first of all, that you're satisfied with, that you can look and say, yeah, man, I did that the best that I could do. And then go to a couple of people in your circle, people at your facility, your friends, your family. I always show them to my kids because my kids consume a ton of YouTube, right? And of course, they don't understand the content, and some of it's boring for them, but they like, they're like, yeah, Dad, that's good. Or no, you know what, that didn't hold my attention or whatever. And then take that feedback and say, yeah, I'm going to do something with it or not. Because if you can't get, 10 or 15 of your friends or your fellow officers at work to comment, to walk by and say, hey, I saw that video, that was good. You're an idiot or whatever. Then you're not going to be able to get somebody in Georgia or somebody in Australia to watch it. So kind of focus on that, practice your presentation, and realize that your first few videos, your first couple of podcast episodes, they're going to suck. They're going to be if you go back, I know, and I have, if you go back and look at any YouTuber, and even Anthony, I'm sure he'll attest to this too. Go back and look at the first few videos that they posted, and you're like, man, if I would have started watching at this point, I probably wouldn't be watching today. But it's because we all kind of perfect the craft, and that's something that I'm doing too, is trying to each episode, each video, try to do something a little bit better. And there's all kinds of videos of 15-year-old kids saying, hey, this is what you got to do, right? That's why I joke. I say people text me and say, hey, how did you learn to do this? I said, well, I YouTubed and watched a 15-year-old kid show me how to do this computer program. That's what I did. But those are the things that you need to focus on to really build that viewership and to keep that audience.
Right, and there's a lot of channels that we follow that deal with growth, whether it's podcast growth or YouTube channel growth. I mean, I follow the Neiman Brothers, Think Media, Creator Studios, whatever they're called, Brian Johnson. One of the things also is find channels that have very similar type content that you have that actually have the audience that you're looking for. So don't just look at the content, look at the audience that's involved. I like Officer 401. I find that a lot of people that, follow police channels may want to also follow what we do in corrections, a little bit of a similarity there. I follow Donut Operator, again, a different type of show, but we could have some similar interest in our belief in the law enforcement side of things. And when I say a comment, now again, this is when you're ready, guys. I mean, granted, when you get ready to start and you post your one video or you post your first show, know for a fact that you want to give people a chance to come back. That's the key. So most of the time, you're not going to get a response the first few episodes because when someone goes to a channel, like, this guy only got one video. This guy's only got one. Yeah. So you have to, that takes time. The first 1,000 is the hardest. And only 1%, I forget the number, but I think it's like 1% make it over 10,000 on YouTube. So I happen to be a little over that 1%. But there is a natural growth. And as you start getting the numbers, it grows a little bit quicker because there's more people out there engaged in your content. They're sharing it, whatever it is. But again, because you have 13,000 something subscribers doesn't mean you're going to have 13,000 views every time you do a video. Especially if you're a channel like me and Will here, where we're educational, we're informative. We're a channel based on necessity. I need something, I look it up, there it is. I may say, oh, Gangi put out a video. I don't need it today, so I'm not going to watch that today. But maybe one day down the road, or Gangi did an hour-long video. Well, maybe when I'm home and I'm comfortable, I'd rather watch his 10-minute videos on a smartphone, but it's true. And we're trying to cut some stuff back. But again, a show like this, I want to try to give you the information. So for the people that requested it, hopefully they stay and they watch it for an hour, however long it's got to be. But one of the other things that we also touched on is when you, as I said, when you're active in the YouTube channels, let's say YouTube is where you're going to try to grow. YouTube is a great place to grow, trust and believe, because people can find you there once you start creating that authority. Put good comments on those other people's YouTube channels, because all they got to do is, if I read that comment, all I got to do is click on your icon. It takes me right to your channel. So leave it a good comment that has value. And also, I'll be honest with you, that actually the creator will start noticing you, because when you start getting engagement in those comments, you start moving yourself up on their comment algorithm. So now the creator's like, well, who is this guy? I mean, I just had a comment from Donut Operator the other day, which was great. Said, thank you for following me all these years. And that's awesome. That means he notices that I'm active in his community. Officer 401 is always throwing my name out there. Every time I do a video, this guy's awesome. Every time every time he does a live stream, I'll ask a question. I may toss him $20, but I'll ask a question. I'm not fishing for subscribers. I'm not doing that. I'm asking him a question that has value, something related to his topic, giving respect to his house. I'm not going into his house saying, hey, send subscribers my way. None of that. I'm asking him a simple question. And then what happens here is every time he responds back, goes, and that Gangi guy, he has similar material like I have. It's for the correction setting. Of course, he kind of on the fence with us being law enforcement, but I still love the guy because he promotes us, every chance he gets. But, I'm active in their live streams. I try to be the first to comment, and I give value, I like to believe, by the comments that I put in, even if it's just, hey, you motivated me to do this, because sometimes that's the case. Sometimes they do a topic, I'm like, oh, I could do that on mine. And I'll quick to say, because I'm always quick to give people their respect. Hey, thank you for doing this topic. You just motivated me to put that on my channel. And they'll come back and say, hey, that's awesome. Can't wait to see it. And that matters, because now you can start to get maybe some type of collaborations. Now, I want to add one more thing. A few more things, actually, but this is a great dialogue here. Maybe me and Will could talk later about future growth. We could talk about thumbnails and titles, because that's all matters. But again, you have to be discoverable. I mean, I could tell you how great your thumbnails are, but if you don't rank in the search, no one's going to even get to that. So, but just be aware of that. That's for a future discussion. But when it comes to those collabs, sometimes people think, oh, if I collab with this bigger channel, I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of that traffic. And that's great. But are you ready for that? Because this is not about collabing to get that initial boost. This is about maintaining people to your channel. So when you go to collab with somebody, you have to be able to make sure that when people go back to your channel, that they see something worth revisiting. I have 736 videos on my YouTube channel. 736 videos. I'm ready to collab. I'm ready. So if somebody wants to come up and say, hey, Gange, you want to do something, I'm going to do it. And then I'll sit down, because most of my subscribers come in when I'm sleeping at night. I wake up, 10, 15 more people just subscribe to the channel. But, those are people that, have somehow, because they'll tell you, hey, I found your stuff through Donut Operator. Hey, I found your stuff through Officer 401. Hey, Gange, I found your stuff through YouTube Stories. That's actually good. When you have over a certain amount of subscribers, YouTube opens up more stuff for you to be able to do. I believe I have YouTube Stories came with over 10,000. I don't know if that's changed, but that's something I'm able to create. I'm able to have YouTube Stories. I don't know if that's lesson, but I had to wait to get to 10,000 subscribers to get that. But the key here is when people look for that instant viral video, instant growth, they wind up screwing themselves over because they're not ready to maintain it. Now, for Will is very new. He has his niche. He knows exactly where he wants to be. He has a few videos up. My suggestion to Will would be now is to start collabing with some of those small, like what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? Like we're doing right now. Would I think he's ready for a big one? It could be, very soon, definitely, because you're more advanced than I am with technology and stuff, and your videos seem to be of higher level quality. And I think that you actually have enough reasons for people to come back because the videos that you have are still in line with that niche. So people that are attracted to you immediately, that initial attraction will not lessen when they go ahead and check out the subsequent videos that you have. But having said that, it's also work, money, and I'm gonna touch on that briefly too before we end. But I'll tell you how much this could cost. And also real quick, I'll talk about giveaways too and how that cannot be beneficial for your channel. So, and for the podcast, believe it or not, there are slight differences in how you go ahead and promote the different things. But right now, I think we've given some good advice on just to get started, connecting with the community, identify your passion, you're not sprinting here. It's a marathon. So be ready for the long run. Be ready for your first couple of videos to be dead air cricket, because I'm going to tell you something. As you start to develop and get your authority, you'll start seeing those original videos you put in get more views because people are now going back. But the first few videos may sit up there. And also, don't be annoying when you share those videos. Share it out once, maybe a reminder somewhere in the middle of the week, especially if you're doing with Facebook, because Facebook scrolls, so people will lose it the more you post. But again, you don't want to be overbearing to the groups. If you post it in a group once, that's all I would do. And let it sit there. People see it. They see it. If you want to post it again, post it on your stuff. Post it on, because the people that follow your profile page, the people that follow your page are interested in you. You don't want to go ahead and overwhelm a group because the group isn't necessarily interested in you. You may have some, but not everyone. But if you want, within reason, because you could also saturate that pretty quick, you could say, well, Wednesday I'll post up my video again, because they're my group. So people that are following my profile page, people that are following my Tier Talk page, they should expect that. But again, I'm not, I may post up older videos every day. Like, okay, I got 700 something videos. I'll post this one, one for each week, one for each day, because there may be people that haven't seen it. But having said that, you don't want to oversaturate it either. Just to go back, because I know we're going to come to a close soon, Will. Anything about the passion, the sharing with the communities, the YouTube, the earning that space, that secured niche, the maintaining the channel, anything? Because I have something else I want to bring about with money.
No, I just want to say that first you have to spend. I want to talk just a second about the commitment, because doing this, even though we're doing it for fun, we're doing it out of our passion. I mean, it's a serious commitment. And so when you make a commitment to your audience to say, for me, it's every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to be sitting down in front of my computer, having a guest, bringing you content that I feel like you want to listen to. Now, it doesn't matter if my neighbors are having a fire pit. It doesn't matter if we're having a get-together. I've committed to my audience on a weekly basis that I'm going to be there for them, and I'm going to deliver them. And so you have to decide if you can work that into your life. And then if you're also going to do another podcast, or if you're going to do, I do my Saturday night show, Saturday Night Synopsis, and then I do a video on Wednesday with, that I put out on different topics. I also do some videos with Anthony throughout the week, or podcast or different interviews. I mean, it is a serious commitment time-wise, and he'll talk about the money here in a second, but time-wise to be able to do this. And so what a lot of YouTubers and people who, the biggest mistake they make is they say, I'm going to bring a video every day, or I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to give you content every day. But then what you realize is, first of all, you can't keep up that pace unless you're doing this for a living. And second of all, everything you'll watch out there says that if you're not consistent with your channel, you won't grow. And so if you put out 5 videos one week and don't do anything for a month, that's not going to help you. But if you put out 1 video a week and just consistently go, like he said a couple of times, it's a marathon. 1 video a week or 2 videos a week or whatever you can commit to, but keep that pace up. And then you'll start seeing that in 6 months, 8 months, a year down the road that, hey, people are now they're expecting it. I know Anthony's podcast comes out on Fridays. I'll get up Friday morning. I'll get my cup of coffee. And if it's not up there, I'm like, what's going on? Where's this podcast at? I'm ready. I've made time in my day to listen to this podcast on Friday. So I've learned to, he's conditioned me to say, hey, there's going to be good material coming your way on Fridays. And I need to, and it's the same thing with my podcast. I find that Saturday night, Those first 5, 6 people that log in are the same 5 or 6 people that are there every Saturday night. And so you have to really say, okay, these people have set aside time in their life. They have said, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. And so you have to make sure that you're respectful of that, and that you bring them content and stuff that is worth them taking time out of their day to listen to you. So it's a huge commitment. So when you get ready to get started, make sure that you have the time, and that you can give the audience what they deserve.
Hey, Will, that was actually a very good point, very powerful, because that's something I've tried to do and I just can't do it. That's one of my weaknesses, guys. I did used to just commit to a schedule. Monday would have been live streams, Wednesday and Friday, new material. But sometimes for me, I just get so antsy. I want to get the stuff out. And but technically, William's right on that. That's something that you're aces with. Every Saturday, you're right. I know to expect this Saturday night. For me, I believe it's 10 o'clock my time, Eastern Standard Time. And then for the podcast, I do stay with the routine, except for last Friday. I had trouble. I recorded it on Zoom. It didn't come back to me till today. So it's going to be released today at 1 p.m. So if people are watching the show today, we did an episode on how corrections can help out and prevent and stop human trafficking. I had Jim Carpenter on, which is a good friend of yours, and Greg Piper. Now, and thank you for bringing that schedule, because guys, that does matter, because again, it matters because people know what to expect. And when you start going live, they're the ones that are going to help that traffic, the ones that are consistent. So those 6 will turn out to be 12, 24, 48, 96, whatever, straight on down the line. And that really does hold weight when you go live and you start seeing that your numbers every day or every week you go on live is increasing. And then what's good about what William does is he takes the live show and then he makes it permanent on YouTube. You got to realize something. The live show on Facebook will get lost as you scroll. The more you post stuff, the other episode goes further and further down. So unless somebody's really going through your stuff, and sometimes I could find out because someone will like a picture I posted up a year ago. I was like, oh, that motherfucker's been on my page. I post like hundreds of stuff a day. This guy's really checking out my stuff. But on YouTube, it's permanent. It's there. So I would always do that. If I was actually creating a Facebook live stream or a Facebook show, I would somehow try to find a home either on a page of mine, if I had that at that time, or YouTube just for the time being. Again, YouTube being more of a secondary thing. I also don't monetize through YouTube, because if you do, they take control of your content. I'm not beat for that because of what we represent. So I'd rather just get my sponsorship the other way. And for those people that are annoyed because there's a minute and 23 seconds of a break, guys, you got to understand why I do that. I do that because they help pay for what I do, but they believe in what we do. If I can't rely on YouTube for that. YouTube will chop me down to pieces and give me a penny. It's really not worth it at this point. It's not worth it at this point. I can't say what it will be later on down the line, but either way, I'm going to stay true. I don't care what YouTube decides to pay me. I don't care what it is. If they ever said they have a conflict with the 2 sponsors I have now, American Military University, Guardian, then I don't care what they pay me. I'm staying true to the people that have been loyal to the message, and that's just who I am. And I know I'll do it because I've been doing it. You have no idea the offers I get that are in conflict with, who sponsors me already, including other colleges. And I'm like, nope, sorry. I already got somebody that's been with me this whole road. I kept their money the same since day one. Since day one, I've been comfortable. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm not like, I like what Will said. My passion is getting the message out there. I'm not driven by money. I'm not driven by book sales. So I'm comfortable enough with what this is. And if I do need something, I can always go to them and say, hey, can you do me a favor? I could use a camera or two, whatever it is, or I'm looking for a layout. Not a problem. I'm looking to give away something. And again, when you give away, you got to realize something. The giveaways people think is a good idea. You got to have a developed audience, because you don't want people subscribing to your channel because you're going to give away stuff all the time, And then what I try to do is when I give away, I also look at the people that always comment. Like, let's say I'm doing a giveaway. I say, okay, if you guys want this prize, because Gauls was one of my sponsors at one point, but they changed management. I would look at the comments. Now I may have people that never commented before, and then I may have 30 or 40 people that comment in every video. I'm focused on those 30 or 40 people. I'm sorry. You're not just going to comment on the one video and think you got it like that. I have to give back to the people that have been with me through the journey. So those are the 30 or 40 names I try to recycle through to make sure I take care of them as best I can when I'm giving something. Now, just real quick, I think we've touched on enough, at least just to get started, a little bit of a motivation. And I think Will said, whatever you have a cell phone, use a cell phone. I mean, trust me, I have good cameras, but I don't have a studio. So to set up things all the time, it's hard. So I just kind of use my iPad. But eventually, once this coronavirus is done, I'll start going through, doing some more interviews. I told Connie we'll meet up and do some more in person, because if we split the difference of a drive, we're only an hour away from each other, I think. So I'll try to get more professional videos out maybe once a week. Don't get me wrong, there'll still be some of this back and forth, but maybe I'll try to do something more professional once a week, if not once a month, because the professional videos require me traveling out, and it's hard. I got 2 girls. But I could definitely commit to something that's once a month, easily. But real quick about the money. So let me tell you how this started for me, and I think this may be something Will may be interested in. So again, I don't look to make money off AdSense. There has been some merchandise I do tend to sell, but most of the time I give it away. I'm not at a point where I'm going to be rich selling hats for $25 a piece, and it's sad that it has to be $25. I wish I could make it cheaper. It's just, when you're not, our audience is not really an audience that purchases a lot of things, and I've accepted that. So what I do is when I get sponsors, the sponsors that connect with me connect to the message, not to make money. You got to understand that. So what they do is they're like, hey, Gangi, will you be with us? We could just drop your name once in a while. And I look at what they're interested in, what they do. And of course, yes, I'll connect with you. Or no, I'm not going to connect with you. I don't tell people that if you connect on my channel, I can guarantee you tons of business. I can't, because my audience is not about that. My audience is about quality information. So the people that connect to me are people that connect because they believe in what we do, and they're willing to spend a couple of bucks to keep the message going. Because believe it or not, it does cost money to do this. It does. Equipment, space, location. Sometimes I have to send out to get something edited. The amount of money it costs to edit. Eventually, I'll get to a point where I may have like some college kids help out, but for the meantime. So anyway, here's what happened. A little story how I got my first sponsor, which was American Military University. Talk about timing. Let me tell you a story. I don't know if I ever shared this before. I was at the mall, and technically Tier Talk has started sometime around 2012. So 8 years ago, but it's only been on YouTube for about 3 or 4 years, maybe. I want to say 2017, I forget. And the reason why I went to YouTube was because the magazine I used to write for, there was a conflict, and I had to leave the magazine. Technically, they kind of threatened me, and they threatened to take the show, but the show was mine. They couldn't take that. So I was very frustrated. I thought I lost everything. And then my wife kind of talked to me and said, well, you could do this on your own. You don't need them. And it's true. For a while, I did have the podcast. And then I realized that the YouTube was the better route. The podcast I did, I had a lot of episodes. They're all gone now. They're lost. I had them. I don't know what happened to them, but they're all lost. It's okay, because, figure out how to keep the ones we have now. But when I was going through a rut, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with it, I just wanted to get the message out there, and I was kind of on the channel. Every time I heard something, I just was kind of on the channel, just wanting to speak up. And by the way, another quick thought that we want to say real quick, I forgot to mention this, is that you want material that's evergreen, that lasts. So you don't always want to hop on something trending, because even though that will give you some traffic, it's not going to last. People will stop looking up COVID eventually. I did a few videos on COVID because we had to, because there were safety measures that had to be put in play that weren't done, and people were interested, and I brought them on just to get the thoughts out. But I don't expect those videos to get any more traffic at one point. I think, that moment's going to pass, and there's just no reason for people to look for it. So the training videos are good, or communications that share people's stories, interviews, whatever, dialogues. Those are evergreen. Those are things that will last as you continue to go on, because they're evergreen. They just, my story is my story. It's not trending. So anyway, I'm at the mall, and I kind of get the verbatim from my wife and my wife's father about the time that this was taken and about not getting anything in return. Now, the thing is, Will said something correct. There's a commitment, but there's also a sacrifice. Right now, my family's home. They're doing something in there, and they allow me to do this. But I have to give something back to them as well, because this is the time that they're supposed to have with me. So it got to the point where, even though I feel I'm successful by saying, hey, people are responding, people are commenting, their success is more towards what's it bringing back to the family. Yeah, you know it, Will. So this is no lie, guys. This is just, This is just a crazy coincidence. As I'm having that discussion in the mall, and I'm being like just, hit and slammed with just, the amount of time it was taken and not getting anything in return. I was trying to explain the passion of it all. You really can't. They're not looking for that. They're looking for the money, and it's just the arguments are not going to be in sync. I get a phone call right at that moment from American Military University. Rob Stallworth calls me up. He's been watching my content, interested, and I got my first sponsor. There's no business there. I don't promise him a certain amount of students. I'm sure at some point he's gotten some students. They're in every one of my videos, and I'm sure at some point it happened, but it didn't happen. I did one video, and all of a sudden all these people, no. These guys were with me for the long run. From day one. And they believe in the message, and they invested in the message, in the person carrying the message, not in a product, but in return, because they're doing this for me, I'm the one that suggested to them, let me put a commercial up for you. Can't guarantee you anything, but at this point, let me do something because you guys are giving me this. Let me give something back. That was my suggestion because of what they've done for me at this point. Same thing with Guardian. Ken just gives me a call randomly. One night I'm on the couch. It's 9:00. Says, hey, I like your stuff. Don't know how he got my number. Somehow it's listed somewhere. And he goes, I'll call you back in the future. We'll discuss something. I said, okay. I saw what he was about. I looked him up. I didn't get a call back from him for months. And then finally I got a call back, and just what he felt about what we do, what he felt about this is a guy that watched my videos. He still watches what I do. And he's a very busy man. Tess, the people in that company, they still watch what I do. These aren't people that are watching. They're watching because they want to know more about the profession, how they can relate to the people. Yeah, is there a business aspect? Of course, you got to survive. But I'd rather have someone making money from me that believes in what I do as opposed to someone making money from me who could give two shits about what I do. So, you're always going to have people that they got to survive. I got to survive. But in the end, they believe in the message, and I connected with Ken, not the business. And then I went out to go video Megan's story, the sergeant that was killed in Birdie. The passion behind the people that were filming it, the passion behind Ken, it had to be perfect. We're telling our story. We're the only people telling it. We have to make it perfect. And the amount of money that they provide me a month is phenomenal. Just for this, they don't get nothing in return. Eventually what I'm going to do is they're going to invest in something for me, and I'm going to put their commercials in, but only because I suggested it. So again, the audience that we have is not one to purchase a lot of things, but it doesn't mean you don't try. It doesn't mean I've also tried one point, like, okay, I see a lot of my people like Gall stuff. So let me see if Galls will give me some stuff to give away. And that worked because I went to the interest of the audience first, and there was a very good relationship. Galls was doing okay, but again, not enough. It is what it is. But if I was to make it about money, because it's not, but if I was, I would ask what my audience was interested in and then bring that to the table. But again, I only take enough money to survive at this point. Because don't forget, as the channel grows, you could always request more. But the thing is, I would never do that because they invested in the message when I was nothing, when I was nobody. So they just, you just don't know what, these are people that give you money because they believe in what you're saying. That's very, very powerful. At least to me, that was very humbling to me. And then to have people that, don't just believe in you, but believe in the profession, that adds. But that's my story. And again, I'm not defined by that purpose, but it does help. But what's your thoughts on that? I never really shared that before, actually.
No, it makes me want to send you $5 in the mail, man. That to be a sponsor. No, your point is what we've been talking about, man. It's if you're going to do a podcast or you're going to do a YouTube channel in this profession, it can't be about money. It can't be about any popularity. It can't be about anything like that. It's got to be because you're passionate about it and because you believe in the message. And if you're passionate about it, you believe in it, and you're presenting it in a way that makes other people want to listen, then those other things will come. And sponsorships, viral videos, all those things are great. But if you're just peddling bullshit, stuff you don't believe in, then it doesn't matter. This doesn't just go for corrections. I mean, if you're like, man, I really want to do a podcast and I really love to cook, then go do a cooking podcast. It doesn't matter. But do what you're passionate about, and everything else will fall into place. Or if it doesn't, have some fun with it. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's the thing. If I didn't enjoy doing my show, it is some work, and it is hard finding guests and making sure, and I do a live show. So it's like, man, is this guest going to fly off the handle or do they not answer questions? But it's fun. I enjoy it. And I don't know. That's why I do it. I do it because I enjoy it. I hope other people enjoy it, and for no other reason.
And you know what's great? If your family sees that you enjoy it, they don't see it as work, they'll give you the time to do it, because we all need that break too. I would like to think so. Hey, anything you want to say in closing? Again, this is just an initial dialogue. There's more to the discussion, but basically the beginning is the passion, the motivation. And again, there is some growth we talked about, but the key is know what you're passionate about and know if you're ready to do this for the long haul, because this is a long haul commitment. It's not, I'm going to post up a video and I'm going to get millions of views right away. No, you're going to probably get nothing for the first 5 or 6 videos. And then, you're going to put out requests. And I know Will did it the other day, and he made sure the audience knew, where he put out a request and nobody responded back. And you made it know, like, okay, it says no response back. I'm going to do this on my own. It was a suggestion. I've done that. I get a lot of response back to the Tier Talk podcast because it's not video. I put something up. I have millions of people that want, and I have to actually do interviews on that. But for the YouTube channel, a little bit different. You post up something, hey guys, looking to tell a story of something positive. I can't wait to see your suggestions. And months later, wow, not one. Not one, not even a like on Facebook. But you know what? It is what it is. But eventually it changes. Eventually you have people that get more interested, but prepare to be in this for the long run. Prepare to run the mile, more than a mile, the 22-mile marathon. Hey, Will, anything you want to say in closing?
Yeah, I will here. I just want to add a quick story here. I feel it's an emotional roller coaster doing this, putting yourself out there, putting content out there. And like Anthony says, I put something out there and nobody responds. And it's like, come on, guys. But I had an officer stop me in the hall the other day, and he said, both him and his wife work at the facility. And he said, every Saturday night, my wife, that's her time away from us, away from the kids. She goes in, she pours herself a glass of wine, and she sits there and she listens to your podcast. And he goes, I'm not allowed in the room. Nobody's allowed in the room. And I was like, man, to me, that was so humbling. I'm like, this person is like carving out time in their day to sit down, to separate, and to say, I want to listen to what you're bringing. And it's just, that's so special to me that's what, if it's only her listening, I'm going to keep doing it. But my final advice, and then I'm going to go enjoy my Saturday until I have to do my show, is this. Just like when you're working in corrections and you look at all the different officers and you see the good things and the bad things that they do, and then you kind of carve your own way and say, you know what, I can't be an officer like William can be an officer, or like Russ can be an officer, but I can do it this way and I'm going to take good and bad. Do the same thing with YouTube creators, with podcasters, and say, you know what, I really like what Anthony does. I really like what William does, but I think I'm going to try to do it this way, or I'm going to, maybe I'm going to do a different music, or I'm going to attack corrections from this angle versus this angle. That's okay. Look at what other people are doing, and then don't try to do what they're doing. Just be yourself. I'm going to go back to it. Be one of the voices in the movement, because the more people that are talking about this, the more traction that we'll get, the bigger platform, and then we'll be closer to getting that respect and recognition that correctional officers deserve.
Yeah, basically, hit it right. Do your research. That's pretty much it. Do your research. Sometimes I'll watch interviews and say, well, I would have asked this person this, or I would ask this person that. But by the way, when I do the interviews, we don't really script it out. And real quick before I go, a little story too. I had someone, a lot of my stuff I listen to when people go to and from work. That's why the podcast was, again, can you get a podcast? I want to listen to it to and from work. And one guy did send me a message about a year ago and said, hey, Gan, you know what? I love listening to your stuff every day right before I go to work, because it psychs me. I'm ready to kick ass and take names. I said, what the fuck episode are you listening to? like what episode is that? You know what I mean? But look at that. We enjoy what we do. That's the key. We gave out some advice. I think later on, as you start to develop, Again, we aren't the experts. We gave you also some channels to check out: the Neiman Brothers, Think Media, Brian G. Johnson. You know, there are certain strategies for different platforms. Facebook has a different strategy than you would on YouTube. But I think really the end of the day is, out of it all, is this something you're passionate about and that you could commit to? I mean, think about this, guys. 700 something videos I have. That's 700 something different topics. Or if I did revisit it, it's a different perspective. Fucking guests, topics. It's exhausting. So before you even start a channel, come up with 20 ideas that you can kind of get ready to discuss based on that niche. That's also another good advice, to see if you can do this. Because I'm going to tell you something, man. Sometimes it's exhausting. Because one last thing before I go, I look at my views, right? Because you have YouTube analytics, right? So I'll give you an example. So right now, it's Saturday morning. What time is it? Yeah, you have it right on you. Yeah, YouTube analytics, you know. So in the last 48 hours, it's been kind of slow. My channel's had 4,800 views in the last 48 hours. In the last 60 minutes, it's early, it's 64. Usually it's around 120, 180, right? I like to keep that number around that. So when I start to see it drop, I go right for a video. Now, do I need to do that? Probably not. That's just my OCD part of it all. Because again, if I was committed to a schedule, it wouldn't matter. But in this case here, it's the one thing I look at, and that's what motivates me to do a video. I don't think that matters as much. I just like to keep the views up to a certain level because I know it gives me those subscribers. But hope you got a lot from this. And guys, if you're interested in creating a channel, let us know. Just put, hey, Gans, I'm interested in doing this. I found this helpful. Don't tell us what your channel's about, because I don't want people stealing your stuff. But just tell us that you're interested in doing this, and maybe we can connect. And maybe if we can help you grow, if the channel has value that we feel is worthwhile, we would do whatever we can to help you grow when you're ready. As always, guys, the show is Tear Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. The bell's going to notify you every time we post a video. And look how important that is when I just said that. Remember prior? That's why we say it, because the engagement helps us. And as always, guys, stay safe.